Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be going through the drums of one of my latest songs. Specifically, we'll be going through the drum group today. They're very clean drums, sort of minimal automation, minimal sound design required, and it's just a really good output in terms of what it adds to the track. In future videos, we'll be going through some of the different elements of this song, but as I started with the drums on this tune, we may as well start with the drums on this video. So if we just play it from this breakdown, so that you've got an idea of what it sounds like, and then we can start looking into the sound design itself. So what we'll do here is we'll just quickly listen to the drums on their own, just so that you can understand what it sounds like but without the other elements, and then we can begin to break it down a little bit. So yeah, just some nice clean, minimal drums, the nice little sort of shuffle in there, and some ride cymbals, very clean and very minimal. So this drum pattern really started with a really nice clean kick and a really nice clean snare. And I think I found both of them just when I was sort of browsing around on Splice for some samples. So if we just start really with the kick and the snares, this bit here, because there's no effects here. So the kick's got a nice punch to it. Really the only automation that's, the only processing that's happened here is just removing some of that low end, because it's got quite a nice high end without it being too invasive. So you can see here, there's not like some really horrible frequencies going on, so not really much processing there. And then kind of the same with the snares, really. I mean, I added a bit of processing to the group and a bit of compression, but if we listen to the snares individually, we've got a bit of a high snare there. That snare's got a bit more of a kind of a pop to it. And then these mid snares and shuffle snares we'll come on to a bit later on. So just in terms of the processing for these guys, not much had to happen with this one, if anything, really, just because a lot of it was being taken care of by the group. On this higher snare here, as I'm going to just so just making sure that we don't have any of those low frequencies, and then just compressing it just a tiny little bit. I just wanted to bring out some of the loudness in it, really. And then in the group itself, we've just given it a tiny little bump here at 7,000, and then just a little bit of erosion, just to bring up some of those sort of higher frequencies. So without the effects, then with the EQ, here it just gives a little bit at the top, and then the erosion. And here again, it's just giving it that kind of little extra sizzle at the top, tiny bit of compression, and then just a bit of a little glue compressor, just kind of join those sounds together. So not anything really that crazy going on. I really would recommend, if you're just trying to get a bit more punch in your snares, just add a bit of erosion, or what you can do is you can layer in a bit of white noise, just to kind of give it that crisp at the top. What we can focus on now are some of the more slightly interesting elements. So that really comes from the hi-hat, the ride, and these little shuffles that we've got here. So for a long time, I actually struggled to program drum and bass drums because I didn't really understand that the classic shuffle that you get, that you have in virtually every song, is largely to do with the relationship between the snares and the hat. So if you just listen to this group, which is basically everything bar the kick, so we can hear that shuffle. That's actually very, very simple to program, and I'm very glad I actually learned how to do this because it saves me a lot of time rather than cutting stuff out of breaks. So you can see here, if we just look at the hats, for example, these are just pretty much triplets, and the very first beat here is reduced down to 5, and then you get some more velocity. Then these guys here are 92, 55, 92 again. So it's just giving you that sort of nice, that nice groove and that nice shuffle. But then the most important bit is the relationship that it has with this snare shuffle here. So if we just listen to this on its own, I mean, it's not going to sound amazing, but so they're actually quite quiet. And when we listen to these together, so this is, again, 55, 97. It's pretty much just doing the opposite. So 92, 55. It's doing the opposite of what the hats are doing, which gives it that sort of nice shuffle that you'd expect if you listen to a sort of a live drummer. But you'll notice here in this section, and also here, we're actually missing a note. And that's because we have a different element that's playing, which is this, this smaller snare drum. Listen to that. So again, on its own, not really that exciting. But one of the things that I noticed is I originally had this sound here. So this sample was playing on pretty much at the end of every beat or bar. And if we were to get rid of this, it then just sounds, I thought it sounded very, I thought it sounded a bit too loopy, and I didn't really like it. It just sounded like I'd sort of taken a loop from somewhere and ran with it. So I didn't really want it to sound like that, to be honest. What did we do there? Okay. So this sound here is a very, very similar snare to the shuffle. It's a very similar snare to the shuffle, but it's just slightly different ever so much that you probably wouldn't hear it unless you were listening out for it, but it just gives it that little bit of variation in each 8-bar loop. And then finally, what we have here is the ride cymbal. Now this, again, very, very simple programming. We've given it quite a harsh low frequency cutoff here with an EQ. We've given it just a touch of reverb, you know, sort of 55% on just over a second. And then within each of these, this is panned all the way to the left, this is panned all the way to the right. Now, without this, it felt a little bit incomplete. There's a space for that sound to be filled, and the ride just does that really, really nicely. So if we were to take off some of these effects, it still sounds okay, but it wasn't really what I was going for. Just sort of fills out the edges of the beat. So that's pretty much it in terms of the drum beat itself. We have a bit of a variation here, where it just drops in and sort of gives a bit of a different intro. And we stand tall. But nothing too crazy. So just finally, a way to keep these drums a bit more interesting in the transitions between either 16 or 32 bar parts of the drop is to add in some modulated effects. So what I did is I just created a delay chain. So this just contains everything that I wanted to impact with some reverb and also impact with a bit of delay. Obviously, you don't want to do that with a kick. And the reason I did this is because the minimal drums are minimal drums, I didn't want to sort of, over egg the pudding and add too much in there. So I think there's an example here. So if we just take this as an example here. And the same here. So you can see the peaks here, they're kind of 32% for I think that's the reverb, yeah, and really not a huge amount going on with the delay either. If we listen to that on its own, it sounds quite explicit there, but in the wider context of the song, it's just giving the listener sort of the knowledge that something else is coming in terms of the bass lines changing, some additional vocals and samples. So really, really easy to do. All you've done is created a delay chain here, and we just dropped in all of the different elements that we want to control. We then apply a reverb, and simply just show the automation and add just a little peak. As you can see here with the drums, with the ride, for example, we give it a bit more reverb and a bit more delay. Not so much the delay, but a bit more reverb in the breakdown. And it just gives a nice bit of variation. And then other than that, the intro drums are pretty much the same as the... So all we've done with the intro is pretty much kept the same beat. You can hear that there are some slight differences. So it's a lot straighter, just more like a straight drum beat. And it's just got these little sort of hints that there's going to be some more shuffle later on. Now you can hear at the beginning, we've got a low pass, which I believe is on, where's that low pass? On the whole group. Yeah, so we've got the, so you can see here we've just got a low pass, just to get rid of some of those higher frequencies. And then that changes here. You can see here that it's just been moved all the way to the top. And because we want this kick to sort of kick a little bit harder, you can see here that the intro kick has had some of that low end removed. You can achieve exactly the same thing with the EQ8. Just because we want to emphasize the drop as much as possible. So other than that, guys, other than just sort of automating a bit of the auto filter at the end here to bring it out. And just playing around with the reverb effects. That's pretty much it in terms of the drums for this song. What we'll be looking through in future videos is how I did the bass design, what I did to kind of add a bit of ear candy with vocals, risers, various clicks and so on. So we'll be going through those in different videos later on this month. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you found this video useful, and please do comment in the suggestions, any questions that you may have. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.